We are on the air, Suzilla.
Hello, I'm Susie. That's Matt. I say hi, Matt.
Hi, Matt.
Welcome to Suzilla, our weekly, more or less, podcast here at Wenatchee Insurance, located in the beautiful Wenatchee Valley on North Mission Street.
Yep, and we're going to talk about a fun topic today.
Oh, that's good. We could use a fun topic.
It is the future.
The future. Are you sure that's fun?
It can be.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people struggle with it.
Yeah.
The future is inevitable.
It's also scary in a lot of ways, just because it's unknowns.
It's unstoppable.
It is unstoppable.
And it's kind of important to pay attention to that, because if you're staying current with what's going on, and you jump on that future train and doing some steps and planning, you too will be unstoppable.
Okay, that's an interesting philosophy. Elucidate.
Well, it's you understand what's going on. A great example is kind of what we've done the last couple of years with health insurance and Medicare.
Yeah.
Is we've looked at the different laws that have impacting.
Like the Inflation Reduction Act.
Well, the first one.
First one was the
American Rescue
Plan,
and
that made a massive difference for individual health insurance.
Yeah,
and then go on.
And so that took those advanced premium tax credits and lowered a lot of people's cost of individual health care.
What the American Rescue Plan Act did is put the Affordable Care Act where it was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it had been jockeyed around and hamstrung a half a dozen different times by a half a dozen different political wags and stuff. And
they tried to repeal it like 50 plus times.
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah. So, and then they took away parts of it and they made it difficult, and then blah 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 blah. The American Rescue Plan Act got it to where it should have been a few years ago.
Yeah, and there's always like these wacky lawsuits in Texas, because it's always Texas. It's usually one judge down there, because
not my favorite guy,
because he's just for some reason likes to attack it and do horrible things.
He is in the pocket of those who are paying his bills.
It's hard to say.
I think but I don't know. Either way, he's got a philosophy that is antithesis to the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah, it really is.
And he is using he is using his philosophy and his opinions to set policy in the United States. He's not being a good judge, because judges should be impartial.
Yeah, that's the old standard.
He is not. That should be a permanent standard.
Oh, yeah.
But he's not being impartial, and it has caused and will continue to cause all kinds of.
Yeah, so you're going to the Wayback Machine and the whole Affordable Care Act and the start.
Yeah, chaos either way. So going ahead.
So yeah,
So that got the ACA back to where got it to where it should be. Now one thing, didn't that have a sunset clause? It was supposed to sort of
sunsets end of next year.
So end of 2025.
So I've actually seen a number of different health insurance people do hey, wait a minute, what about this?
What about this?
What about when this sunsets, and the predicted numbers, about 20% of the people will know it will be priced out of their price range.
So people will die.
Yeah, people won't get health care and they will die. And it's one of those important considerations, because that's determined by this next election. A bunch of us, the professionals in the field, started talking about the sunset period last year.
Yes, because we knew it was coming.
Because we knew it was coming. It's written in law. You know it's coming. So what do? You start talking about it. And you start making plans if it goes either way.
Right. I suspect that it all hinges on the 2024 election. If it goes one way, it'll be either quashed early or allowed to sunset. If it goes a different way, it might be put into play permanently.
Correct. Because that was originally when Biden was proposing the Build Back Better.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it never passed. But we'll do that. There was certain things. One of those was to make those tax credits permanent.
Right.
Another one was Medicare getting dental.
Yes.
There was something like over 50
there was
provisions
a bunch
for
of stuff that just never really materialized fully.
Well, it didn't materialize because it didn't become law.
Well, exactly.
Because it got squashed.
Right.
And you could go back and look at the way back and see on who squashed it and why. Or you could we continue going forward, and what they ended up passing was the Inflation Reduction Act.
Right, the IRA they're calling it.
And they had a lot of good components in it.
Yes.
That we are seeing that are going to. They did the access to immunizations for Medicare.
Yep.
Prescriptions.
That was huge.
Well, that was, for example, the shingle shot.
Yeah. I mean, prior to the Inflation Reduction Act, you would be paid. Okay. So most immunizations are covered out of your Medicare Part D, your drug plan, because that's part of the deal. The shingle shot has always been billed under Part B, and it is a lot of your Part D drug tiers have a deductible in play or a higher copays for the higher cost medications, your tiers 3, 4, 5, whatever. Right. If you're paying a low price, you're probably because you've got something affordable and you don't need a $70 a month prescription plan.
Yeah.
So your tier 3 medications like the Shingrix, the shingles vaccine, would probably be deductible. Pay the deductible, then the plan starts doing its job, which means basically you're paying the full cost of the shingles vaccine.
Yeah.
The Inflation Reduction Act changed all that.
Changed that. It also put in the $35 cap in insulin.
Right.
So it's been having some things that went into effect in 23.
Yeah. And then
all through this year, and then this year's the next major year.
25 is the next very, very large step.
And
23 they started negotiations with the drug companies. 26 we'll see the results. 25 is the big financial change.
Something that happened last year.
Yes.
And this is very important. There are over 50 million people on Medicare prescription plans and Medicare Advantage plans with prescription.
Correct.
This is the point that we're getting a lot of impact on and change. Now, last year, 11% of those Medicare prescription plans went bye-bye.
They left the market.
They left the marketplace.
They're probably, I'm sure they were looking into their future, and they were looking at what was going to happen with the Inflation Reduction Act, and they didn't like what they saw, so they want to go a different direction.
Yeah, or they couldn't figure out how to make it profitable.
Right. Because it is a thing.
It is
the insurance companies have to pick up a larger percent. They have to pick up a bigger chunk of the cost of medication.
Yeah, and if they're not big enough that they can absorb that, they're going to have to close their doors and do something else.
Well, and you also had to come into the fact that some of the plans that boogied out were low star. They had 2 or fewer stars. They were not a strong plan to begin with. They didn't have a lot of people enrolled in them.
Yeah.
And it all just all the little components came into place. It goes like, it'd be easier if we just closed it up.
Yeah.
We'll revisit this in a couple of years. Maybe we'll come back. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll pivot to a totally different direction. Don't know. Either way, that happened. But other plans have come on strong and are looking like they're going to, and they are preparing for the change for 2025.
I'm going to put a big old fat pin in there.
Exactly. That's about as far as we can go.
And the reason why I'm going to put a pin in there is because the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services turned around in July and said, hey, you know what? We need to stabilize prescription plans.
They did. And so there is going to be, the feds are going to step in and help stabilize it until everyone gets back up and working.
So there we go.
Hope everyone's okay.
Yes. So we saw 11% of the market. The average Medicare plan, prescription plan, was running about $36.
Yeah.
for last year.
Mhm.
When the proposals came in for the 2025 year,
Mhm.
they were looking at over $100 per plan.
Right. And some of the plans that aren't, I mean, that's your average is 35. I've
Yeah.
got one in Chelan County right now that's $0 a month.
Yeah.
Can't figure that's going to stick around, but we don't know.
We don't know. So the Fed said, "Oh, whoa, we're going to go back to what we did when we first put these Medicare prescription plans into play, and we're going to stabilize it."
Right. And they're giving them a chance to get back up on their, get organized.
So yeah, they said, "Okay, we're going to count how much you can increase. We're going to make you drop it down. We're going to cover some of the back end losses with some reinsurance."
Yep. Which I appreciated.
So this is some smart planning by CMS to ease us into 2025.
Right. Now that's not a permanent solution though. It's like 2 years.
It's they will look at it next year to see on how it works.
See how it's going.
See how it's going and make an adjustment. That's the wonderful thing when you have experts in the field making adjustments.
Exactly. You think ahead.
Yeah, and you look for pivots. Because one of the things that there was something to do with the taxes. Don't bug out because you had the discussion.
You're right.
With the accountant yesterday about this.
I had a conversation with an accountant yesterday.
Yes.
Oh, right. Let me track back on that.
And basically, they're gonna freeze that for the next year. That was what we got, and
I'm sorry. You're getting freeze what, Matt?
There was a question when it came to concerning taxes and Medicare and prescription plans, and the IRS said we're gonna freeze that all next year. So they made a ruling change so they wouldn't change.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry I can't eliminate more on that.
No, there's stuff.
Yes.
There's something going on outside.
Stuff happens. So we've got that, and we're to this year, and we're like, okay, so we there's a good chance that there's going to be plans that leave.
Yeah, absolutely.
We know this
for a million different reasons, but a lot of it's financial on their end.
A lot of it's financial. There's two to tango.
Yeah. So there's negotiation stuff. We don't know. We'll know more in October. That's when we find out what's going on.
So yeah, we started back in March saying, hey, if you have a Medicare prescription plan, or Medicare Advantage plan with prescription,
make an appointment. Because there's the fact is there's major changes for 2025, and what I'm telling people is we don't know how the insurance companies are going to react to it.
We won't know, and we won't be able to announce it until October.
That's when we can talk about this stuff in more detail.
Now, Medicare has their annual enrollment period from October 15th through December 7th.
Yep.
That's 53 days.
Yes, which is just about a week more than individual coverage.
Of approximately 50 million people looking to understand the changes that are going to go through.
I wonder if they're going to give us an extension.
I don't know. If your plan leaves, there are plans that are leaving, pay attention to the letter, because often they will give extensions. Because they
recognize the situation.
They recognize the situation. They recognize, of large companies leaving and the bind to get quality help.
Right. So there's going to be the 53 days is the ideal spot.
That's the sweet spot.
If you miss that window, you may have a chance to glue it back together.
From what I understand, because I went up to the Office of the Insurance Commissioner.
Yeah.
It was they're going to give you till the 31st for a plan that starts January 1st. If your plan sunsets, again, pay attention to your paperwork.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is absolutely critical. And then after that, I believe it's like the end of February. I'd have to look at the blog post I did back in June at our Wenatchee insurance site.
But if you have that happen, you've got a chance of having a coverage gap in there.
Yes.
And we don't want you to have that because that's never fun. We want you to have what you need for January 1st.
Yes.
Get your butt to your broker.
Because these new plans, the two
restructured plans.
big things that are happening is there are going to have the out-of-pocket maximum prescriptions drop down to $2,000.
Correct.
The donut hole's gone.
Right. All right. I can describe the structure if you want. We know what the deductible is going to be.
What's the deductible?
$590.
Okay.
Right now it's $545, so it's going to go up.
It's going to go up, but yeah.
And they're taking away the coverage gap. But we do not know how right now, with a Medicare drug plan, the insurance companies get to choose what they want to do with that deductible.
Correct.
We don't know what they're going to do with the deductible in 2025.
We don't know what the formularies are, so we don't know what the medicine is going to fall in which tier and where.
Right. They're going to rearrange the tiers. They're going to rearrange who's going to pay for the tiers and how. I mean, right now, if you were to walk into it, if you had a drug plan today, you might have a plan that is $3 or $4 for your preferred generics, right? So you spend $4 for a 90-day supply of your preferred generics, but it's a deductible waive tier. So, you just have to pay the $4.
Yeah.
We don't know if in 2025 it's going to be you have to pay the full cost of the medication until you get to until the $590, or if the insurance company is going to continue to take care of the deductible. We don't know. We won't know till October. Make your freaking appointment.
So yeah, we are. This is the point where it's like, the appointment's important because it allows you planning for the future, so you can be unstoppable.
Yes, and we are here to help you.
And so, because there's also in there, if you've got if you've got medications that you were hitting the donut hole early.
I had a client the other day.
Yeah.
They hit the donut hole, come in and out of the donut hole into catastrophic in January.
Yeah.
For the first time ever, they had no more out-of-pocket expenses for the rest of the year. Starting in 2025, instead of having that $8,000 that a person is responsible for, plus the insurance company, it's $2,000. Just it.
Yeah. And as an added bonus, they've got a payment program.
Yes. Instead of paying... if you know you're going to hit the $2,000 because you've got a $10,000 drug, which exists very quickly, you can actually opt into this prescription payment plan, and you will pay your insurance company the $2,000 in installments.
Yes.
So you pay your premium, and then you pay $166 or whatever it is a month until the end of the year.
And you could do that anytime through the year.
You can opt in at any point, and you can opt out at any point. If you opt in, you're not paying anything to the pharmacy.
So that's a really critical change in those Medicare prescriptions.
Makes your life easier to budget.
Yes. Now, this year on the health side, we know that I believe it's like an 11% increase in Washington State.
Nothing's finalized yet, but
nothing's finalized. That's why we told everyone back in June when they said, "Hey, here's the proposals."
Yeah, and
we said, "Hey, go to the Office of the Insurance Commissioner and put your words in on why it should be lower." Not a whole lot of people did that, but that's a way that you can
more
prepare.
Than just us, though.
I like it. Because that's important, because it lets them know, hey, we need to work on this.
It's a public comment opportunity.
And the Office of Insurance Commission put out a report concerning lowering the cost of insurance.
Oh.
There was like 5 different bullet points on it. It was they mentioned reinsurance again.
Yes.
Very important.
Yep.
They talked about, hey, let's do a managed care system overall. So there were some very good points in seeing the problem today, talking about it, and working on solving it in the future.
Cost controls for the future.
For the future. And that's really important. And the proposals that the Office of the Insurance Commissioner did could be applied whether it's the current system, whether the Affordable Care Act has been repealed, or even if we go single payer. Because these are all cost-cutting measures that can be applied universally.
Yes.
And that's really important to have those kinds of tools in your arsenal so that you're able to make those changes along the way.
Right.
And that I really was appreciative of that. And actually, our insurance commissioner is up for election this year, and it'll be interesting to see who gets it and what position they take.
Yes, because they could be taking a completely different tactic from what's currently in place.
I hope they don't reject it because, like I said, those are tools that can be used universally across the board. I hope that it's someone with experience in insurance, because insurance is one of those weird things. We're customer service that the work for the client. And that's a real weird distinction for industries.
Yeah.
And, admittedly, there are some of our peers do not treat it as such. They treat it as people are numbers.
Yeah.
And they've forgotten what insurance is about. It's the golden rule. You do unto others as they would do unto you. Right. I've had more than once where I've said, I've had a client, well, what plan do you take? This was the early days of the Affordable Care Act. And I was like, I pulled out my card. This is my plan. It's on the exchange. I've been on the exchange because I'm a small business owner. I don't belong to a large corporate plan.
I still get asked that. I got asked that this week.
Yeah. And just point blank, they think that we've got, some secret sauce.
Yeah. Oh, you're in the industry. You get special deal. Yeah.
No,
not at all.
That would be called rebating.
True.
Where there's actual laws against it.
That is true.
And so, we put together, it's like, no, we use it. We talk about it. We advocate for it. Because we know that there's changes along the way.
Yes. And we try to stay up to date on the potential changes and make sure that our clients are educated about them.
So, we know that health insurance is going to change.
That change is the only constant in the universe.
Yeah, and if you go to the Office of the Insurance Commissioner, you can see on what company is planning on going to 2025.
That's true, because they have to post.
And they're already posted, and they posted what they plan on their rates are. They posted why they plan on changing their rates. I can say without a doubt, all of them went over the 80-20 rule. Every single one of them spent more than 80% of premiums on actual health care.
Yep. They're still, I've said it before, they're still mopping up from COVID.
Well, it's not that. It's not the mopping up from COVID. It is the providers that are just hammering the insurance companies. And I don't know if it's the the travel nurses. I don't know if it's the staff doing overtime and the lack of doctors, but it is across the board the highest amount of portion of your premiums are going to hospital care.
And because the cost of hospital care has increased. It is, inflation has hit that level as hard, very hard.
And
you don't always see it because it's copays on your pocket, but it's a real thing. That's why your rates are likely to go up.
So that's one of those important things to look at. It's like, okay, well, why is this going? And that's very current. And when I say very current, this is stuff that, yes, the lawmakers can step in and say, hey, insurance companies, we're going to limit your profits. Because that's literally what they did with that 80-20 rule. Because if they weren't spending that 80% on healthcare, they'd be cutting checks to those policy owners the following year and go, here you go. We didn't spend it all, so you get it back.
Right.
Very cool policy.
Yep.
There is unlimited profits for providers and unlimited profits for the pharmaceutical companies.
billions and billions and billions of dollars.
And we're going to see some changes in 2026 when the first 10 negotiated prices for Medicare hit.
Yep, that's going to be really interesting.
And it was interesting because I went down that list. We got Eliquis, Jardiance. I'm gonna flip the screen over to Susie
because I can read these better than Matt. I've got more experience. Okay, so I can't see it.
Well, you can get up.
You're just no fun.
Yeah.
You make me move my butt.
I'm gonna make you move your butt.
Yeah, you like my butt. All right, so we've got Eliquis, Jardiance, Xarelto, Januvia, Farxiga, Entresto, Enbrel, Imbruvica, Stelara, and Fiasp. Oh, Stelara, I forgot that was on the list. Fiasp, and actually those are several of the more expensive insulins that have not necessarily been on the $35 list.
Now, what was interesting when I was going to the GoodRx,
yeah,
they've got an unnatural price point. A lot of them were hitting that right around that $600 level, and that's got to be by design.
Yeah. There's $600-$800 in there for a 30-day supply. The one that triggered a lot of this was the blood thinners, the Xarelto, the Eliquis, because they are literally lifesavers. And there are other medications that are less expensive that do the same thing, but these have fewer side effects and are much more easy to be compliant with. So people are getting them. They're being prescribed them. Problem is, you don't have insurance. You're looking at $900 a month for them.
Oh, yeah.
Easy.
So we're going to see that in 2026. What we're also going to see is next February, they're going to announce the next 15 drugs that are being negotiated.
Yep, and they're not going to stop these negotiations. This is not a 1 or 2 time thing. This is going to go on every year.
Well, the cycle is they do their negotiate, they announce the drugs, they do their negotiations the following year, and then they put it into effect.
Right. They give them 2 years.
Because it takes time. Now, this falls under the Inflation Reduction Act, which more than one group has said, we want to get rid of it.
Of course they do. Because it's cutting into their profits.
So it's really important to look at, doing the planning. It's like, okay, yeah, I don't need this, but my loved one does. Well, do you want your loved one to pay more?
Do you want to pay more because your loved one can't pay anything?
Yeah, and it's those things you want to look at when it comes to planning these things. And insurance is one of those awesome things. You were looking at car insurance. Now, car insurance has just gone through the roof over the last year.
Yeah, like an 18% increase.
That was the month of July.
But just the month of July.
Just the month of July was like 18%.
Yeah.
It's run anywhere from 26% in April, 22%, 18%. It is like the highest inflationary rate for car insurance since like the 70s.
When everything was going out of hand in the 70s.
Oh, you know what?
No, I don't know anything.
We had a similar situation in the 70s. The gas embargo, not a lot of people drove. And then when the gas embargo lifted,
people are driving again.
Accidents.
There you go. I think that's what's happening, at least to a degree.
We saw something similar in that when COVID, everything shut down.
People stopped driving.
I mean, stopped driving to the point where you could do the cannonball run in just a little over 24 hours.
Yeah.
It
really
nuts.
did happen. And like Los Angeles was a desert.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
So you had those things that occurred, and you also had supply chain issues.
That is not completely resolved.
You still do that. So you also have the price of cars and materials went up, but that was kind of similar back in the 70s, 80s because you had those plants retooling. So it's very, very similar. Just
different factors creating it.
Yeah.
Interesting analysis there, dear.
And that's one of those things. And I've been working with clients on when it comes to car insurance, because I understand that, oh my gosh, they're still having these issues with materials and time in shops and taking longer than usual. So if someone's looking at a rental coverage,
Mm-hmm.
I tell them, hey, bump it up at least a level,
Mm-hmm.
because it's taking 5-6 weeks to repair a car.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's your only source of transportation,
You're going to want to be able to have a rental car.
you're going to want to have that rental car, and it's not you're going to want to, you're going to have it longer.
Yeah, you'll have it longer than otherwise. All right. Well, there you go. So lots of things to consider.
Lots of things. So yeah, step up your little planning, figure out what's going on now, how things are going to impact the future, and how you can put positive steps in right now that not necessarily you'll need right immediately, but it's going to be handy a year, 2, 3, 5 years down the
Mhm.
road. A good example for that is search engine optimization. I will preach that till the day I die. Every day, spend something on, if you've got a business, spend some time every single day working on optimizing your search engines.
There you go. Thank you for that lesson, Uncle Ron. He's the one that got us into that one.
Yep.
All right. So till next week, this has been Wenatchee Insurance. This is Suzilla.
Woo.
Talk to you later.
Have a good one.
Bye.